The matter was referred for a pre-sentence report and a drug and alcohol evaluation. We are set for sentencing today. Those evaluations have been completed. The state has had the opportunity to review those reports. The state of Ohio is prepared to proceed today, Your Honor. And just for the record, the defendant does have 12 days of jail time credit at this time.
All right, Mr. Fatica.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I've had an opportunity to review the PSR and the psychiatric evaluation of the case. We're ready to go forward.
Go ahead.
As you can see from the report, Ms. Jurnacic has no prior criminal history, no convictions of any kind, I don't believe. There is a joint rep for community control sanctions here. We'd ask the court to consider imposing the recommendation included in the psych evaluation. Ms. Jurnacic was in a couple of abusive relationships, one her marriage, the other relationship that just ended a month or so ago. I think she would benefit for some counseling to deal with the trauma from those experiences. But again, we'd ask for community control sanctions with the recommendations concerned in the psychiatric report.
All right, Mr. Jurnacic, what do you want to tell me?
What do you want me to? What are you asking me?
What?
What are you asking me?
You can say anything you want for me to consider before I sentence you. So what would you like to tell me?
I've already started bettering myself and making sure I'm committed to never putting myself in a position like this ever again.
And what do you mean putting yourself in a position?
Just being around good people and being a good person and helping others.
What about the situation with Miss Myers?
Buckle up, guys. Today we're stepping into a tense Ohio courtroom where calm professionalism masks heavy tension. The prosecution lays the groundwork, evaluations complete, reports reviewed, while the defense paints a picture of a nurse with no record, seeking community control instead of prison. The air is thick with anticipation as the judge turns to the defendant, ready to hear what she has to say before her fate is decided.
What would you like to know?
Well, I'd like to know what happened.
I entered a guilty plea, not because I'm admitting necessarily guilt, but I understand.
Well, sure you are, because I asked you the question.
Yeah.
If you understood that by entering a guilty plea, you were fully admitting your guilt to the offense. So you didn't do anything with regard to Miss Myers? Are you telling me you administered the drug to her as you were supposed to?
Yes, sir. Yes,
But it didn't show up in her test the following day?
Correct.
Why is that?
The lab report that I have also states that her other medications that she took, even the morning of the drug test, were not in her urine as well.
Okay. Are you telling me that what can you tell me about the patent situation?
There wasn't a situation. I did my job fully as I'm supposed to.
Okay, what about the Lucci situation?
Same thing.
What are we doing? Well, then what are we doing here? Why are we here for a sentencing if you didn't do anything?
I wanted to plea with the Alford.
The defendant's words quickly raise eyebrows. She claims her guilty plea isn't a full admission, but the judge reminds her what guilty means. As he presses for clarity, her story falters. Medication that vanished, lab tests that don't match, and excuses that sound rehearsed. From an outside view, this is the moment the courtroom shifts. What began as a plea for leniency becomes a battle over truth and responsibility.
Plea.
Well, but it wasn't an Alford plea.
Right. I didn't have necessarily proper education or counsel on this.
Oh, sure you did. I mean, this guy's a really good lawyer. I've known him for 20 years.
I think it was maybe a conflict.
10 of it sitting here, 10 of it before that, having cases with him, against him, okay? So he knows exactly what he's doing. He's very smart, very good at what he does.
I agree. I just,
Now, do you have a problem with drugs?
no,
Have you ever had a problem with drugs?
no.
Why did you take that Dilaudid home on that one occasion?
It was just an accident. And I
How did
admitted
get in
it
your-
and I
how did
took it
get in your
back.
bag if it was just an accident?
From after watching the videos, I had carried it around with me.
Why? Why would you carry a drug around with you instead of just taking it where you get it from and administer it? Why would you carry it around?
So my employer, I was going to give it to her when I was clocking out, and that morning, plus I had COVID, that morning it was a snowstorm and management didn't come in. I had worked like 5 or 6 shifts in a row, different hours and schedules, and that was the 3rd shift that I was leaving, and it just went in my bag with the rest of
Details start unraveling. The judge digs into how she accidentally kept pain medication in her bag and why she once saw a pain doctor years ago. Her explanations feel scattered, as if reality and memory blur. Watching this, you see the judge's patience thin. It's not just about stolen drugs anymore. It's about trust, credibility, and whether her story adds up under scrutiny. The tension quietly builds with every contradiction.
my paperwork and stuff. And when they were calling me, I was sleeping from being up. And when I finally answered the call, I didn't think I had it, but I dumped my bag out and it was in there, which I looked at.
Who's Dr. Demagon?
Pain management.
And have you ever seen Demagon?
I did for 6 months,
When?
like 8, 10 years ago, maybe.
What drugs did he prescribe to you?
Percocet
And how long did you take Percocet?
for the 6 months.
When was that? What year was that?
I'm really not sure. It was quite a long time ago, though.
Did you develop a Percocet habit?
No.
No. It seems like you and I and maybe other people are in a like in parallel universes, because you don't seem very attached to reality on this situation, because you clearly did what you were alleged to have done. You didn't take the Dilaudid by mistake. Okay?
It was never even opened.
Yeah, well, you make it very difficult for me.
The judge pushes deeper, questioning her grip on reality. He talks about rehabilitation and accountability, but the defendant insists there's nothing wrong. The courtroom turns introspective as psychology meets justice. Can someone be rehabilitated if they deny wrongdoing? The observer sees an uneasy balance forming between compassion and disbelief, and the uncertainty of what justice should look like here.
I apologize.
Because, well, I don't know that an apology is appropriate. I mean, it's just the way it is.
It's not my intention.
Because you clearly did a lot of things wrong with the intention of taking those drugs, to use those drugs, in my opinion, as I objectively sit here and look at this. And everything else, everything that happened, you've got an excuse for. A well thought out excuse that doesn't make any sense on any of these occasions. It just doesn't. I think the Lucci thing, you have a medication in the book when you weren't even there. Well, how's that possible?
It wasn't, it was like I wrote the date backwards or something on the book. And none of this, I never had any problem until I told them I was going in front of the board of nursing. And literally within 10 days, they started telling me that I did this with this person and this with this person. And then again, tried to fire me again. I had reached out to the board. I drove there and had a meeting. I had begged them not to please not let me tell my employer because this is going to start all over again. And within a week, it did. I told my employer on the 18th of April of 23 that I was going in front of the board. I went in front of the board.
The prosecutor steps in, grounding the discussion. He honors the plea agreement but shares the judge's doubts. He recalls staff who hesitated to fire her, describing a respected nurse whose life derailed. It's a rare moment of empathy in a courtroom heavy with judgment. To an outsider, it feels like the system wrestling with mercy, weighing a promising past against undeniable misconduct.
On the 21st, and by the time I came back on the 2nd or the 3rd, was my first write-up for Mr. Lucci.
For which you did nothing improper.
The bosses sat me down, we went over it. I believe I got an education, or I think it was an education.
What does that mean?
Just where they go over the steps of the process of signing things out, and
Why? Because you did something improper?
I wrote the date or the time backwards or something like that.
I mean, the tone of this whole thing is that your ex-husband was out to get you, the ex-boyfriend was out to get you, the nursing home was out to get you, your phone was hacked, your email was hacked. And all that added up to a big setup where you ended up with a criminal conviction. That seems to be the tone of things. You have a problem with marijuana?
No,
No? Did you ever have a problem with marijuana?
no, sir.
Okay. So, your psych report, they say you meet the criteria for cannabis use disorder due to your history of use starting around your early 20s, with the last use being 7 or 8 months ago. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
It was just on occasion.
Why?
I'm not sure why.
So I don't know what there's a joint recommendation for community control. And I'm wondering, what am I supposed to do with you on, what conditions am I supposed to impose upon you on community control if there's nothing wrong? If there's nothing to rehabilitate, what am I supposed to, why would I put you on community control? I mean, part of the machinations of these statutes is to punish you and to rehabilitate you. What's to rehabilitate if there's nothing to rehabilitate?
I believe that I think differently than other people, and I think talking to a counselor or a psychiatrist would be helpful.
For what? For what purpose?
Just to deal with things. Like, I have time management issues, organization issues. When someone asks me like the year or time, I really can't say. I don't know if it's I don't pay attention or if I'm just different than other people. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, that's not even what I'm talking about. I mean, there are a series of facts in this case which add up to you doing exactly what they accused you of doing. And you seem either reluctant or unable to accept reality. So there's a detachment from reality here that gets in the way of any rehabilitation. Because you clearly were taking drugs that you attributed to patients. And my pretty good guess is you were taking them because you have some problem with drugs that may or may not have developed through your association with Demagogue. That's pretty clear to me. Now, you are either unable to accept that that's happened or unwilling to accept that that's happened. It's one of those two things. So I quite frankly don't know what to do with you. I mean, when somebody's on probation for the purposes of rehabilitation, the point is to rehabilitate. And if the person believes there's nothing to rehabilitate, then probation isn't going to work because they're not going to follow what needs to be done. I mean, why are we going to go through the process of that if it's set up for failure from the word go?
I don't believe that it'll be set up for failure.
Well, if I put you on probation, I'm going to have you go for a further psychiatric evaluation, for a further drug and alcohol evaluation.
Okay.
And my pretty concerted guess is that they're going to order some treatment on both ends. You don't think you have either of those problems. Therefore, you're not going to engage in the treatment. And we'll be right back here because you haven't complied. That's the problem we face right now.
I would comply. I think counseling would be good.
Well, so do I, but based on everything you said in these reports and what you told me up until now, I mean, those are kind of empty words coming from you because you don't think there's a problem.
That's why I think something might be wrong with me.
I guess there's no question that you took those. You signed out those drugs representing them to be administered to other patients, and you didn't do that, okay? I guess the only thing that can be said for you at this point is that you didn't deprive these people of drugs that they should have gotten. Okay? So you at least had the sense to falsify on the side that didn't harm the patients.
That's why I had asked a witness, but I didn't ever think that he was going to say he didn't remember.
Ms. Blake?
Your Honor, the state of Ohio entered into an agreement with the defendant in this case to recommend community control, and that was based on the defendant having no criminal history. It was based on the fact that the defendant, outside of this issue with Dilaudid, seemingly has the ability to be a productive member of society and to potentially do positive things. It was based on the defendant complying with her conditions of bond post-plea, once the court reinstated her bond. And it appears that those things are still true. So again, the state certainly shares the same concern that the court has about the lack of accountability here. But we do have an agreement with the defendant in this case pursuant to plea negotiations to ask this court to adopt a jointly recommended sentence of community control. And I would ask that you do that. I do want to point one thing out about the nursing home staff in this case, Your Honor. You heard from one of the members of that staff, the assistant director of nursing, Ms. Mussel, And the defendant has said here today that the nursing home staff was out to get her once they became aware of her prior conduct in Wickliffe. That could not be further from the truth. The nursing home staff, and we talked to every single one of them, we went out to Vista Springs, they were very, very hesitant to fire Ms. Jernasik. She was an at-will employee. They could have fired her, just to fire her. They could have done that, but they didn't want to do that. They all expressed to us the severity of ruining her career, and they didn't want to do that without being sure of their suspicions. So they took those steps to investigate what was going on, and they did not want to ruin her career. And to a man, Your Honor, every single person that we spoke to told us, and this was unsolicited, they told us that Ms. Jernasik was well-liked and that she was a good nurse. And so that means one of two things to me. It either means that that was the act she put on so she could get away with this conduct, or it means she really, truly has that potential. And I'm hoping it's the latter. We're going to ask that you give her the opportunity on community control to hopefully prove that it is the latter. And I would defer to you, Your Honor, with respect to any sanctions that the court deems appropriate as part of her community control. Thank you.
Okay, I reviewed the pre-sentence report, the psychiatric evaluation, the details from the Ohio Attorney General report. I reviewed several letters in support of you that were submitted, all of which paint a very positive picture of you. As reflected by what Ms. Blake said about coworkers. Okay? So your problem is not that you're a bad person, not that you're not a hard worker. It's that you've got some problems, either psychiatric and or drugs and alcohol, drugs, that you just refuse to recognize or don't want to accept. Okay? Until you do that, you're going to have continuing problems. And that's just reality, all right? And it isn't going to, I mean, I could tell you that 10 more times and you're not going to believe me, all right? It's going to take you recognizing that. Whether you do or not is completely in your control. So I've considered all the applicable statutes. I'm going to place you on community control for 4 years. You're going to serve 12 days in jail with credit for 12. You're to have no drugs or alcohol and you'll be screened. I want you to get a psychiatric evaluation and follow all the recommendations. I want you to get a drug and alcohol evaluation, follow all the recommendations, maintain and obtain full employment, verifiable full employment. You're to see only one doctor. If you need more than one doctor, you have to inform the probation department of who that is. One dentist and one pharmacy for any prescription medication. You're to take medication only as it's prescribed. You're going to sign releases so probation can get your records, and you're going to pay the cost and supervision fees in this case. Ms. Crook, any other terms?
With regards to employment,
Verifiable employment.
what about in the healthcare industry?
Well, I don't know who would hire her in the healthcare industry, so it's probably not in the cards. I don't know why you would want to go into the healthcare industry.
I do not.
Okay, so
I will not ever.
do you understand all the terms?
I believe, yes, Your Honor.
Any question about the terms?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, if you don't comply with the terms, the state will file a motion to terminate your community control. And if it finds you violated, then you face 36 months in prison. You understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
If that happens when you get out, you might be on post-release control for up to 2 years under the parole authority with conditions. If you violate conditions, the parole authority could send you back to prison for up to 9 months for each violation, up to 1/2 of my sentence. If that violation is a new felony, then you could get an additional consecutive prison sentence for the violation, the maximum of which is the greater of 12 months for the time left under post-release control. Ms. Blake, anything else?
I don't believe so, Your Honor. No, thank you.
Mr. Fatiga?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. We're adjourned.
Finally, Judgment Day arrives. The judge lays out community control with strict terms: no drugs or alcohol, full employment, one doctor, one pharmacy, and the shadow of 36 months in prison if she fails. His tone is firm but measured, offering a last chance rather than punishment. The courtroom quiets as her future narrows to a choice: comply or collapse. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.